Good day, you all, and welcome to the Mic with Maremo Matlo. Mic stands for motivation, inspiration, and conversation, and I hope that this video will leave you motivated, inspired, and will spark a conversation between us. I hope the tools that I will share here will allow you to build a life of impact, of substance, and of relevance. So before we get into it, I have a question for you today. Who are you really? Let's get into it. Who are you really? You see, so many of us have created a vision of who we would like ourselves to be. So many of us have crafted our reputation. We have created this persona that portrays itself in different environments. We are actors and actresses. The people who we interact with at work have a different experience to the person some of our family members experience and the person that some of our friends experience. Some of this is valid. It is a defense mechanism to ensure that we guard ourselves against unwanted interferences in our life. But for most of us, what we have begun to do is we have created a character who is the ideal person that we would like to be. And this is the reputation that we play out in front of people. So for me, it started in my second year when my aunt passed away. Until that point, I had not dealt with that level of grief, that level of loss, because I loved her. She was my favorite, and I was working to give her a life that I personally thought that she deserved. And so when I heard about her death, it just threw my emotions off. And I remember I started to drink more. I started to smoke more. I used to smoke 4 times a day. We'd wake up in the morning, wake and bake. I'd smoke. We would meet up again at about 2 p.m. after most of us had finished our classes. We'd smoke again at about 6 or 7, and then lastly at about 12 before we went to bed. I would watch pornography and I would sleep. I would sleep for long hours. I could go a whole day in bed, wake up, put on a fresh set of clothes and go out, and people would not be the wiser. And so people started to believe that I don't need to go to class because I'm so smart, hence I wasn't attending class. And that is the persona that I portrayed, that is the conversations that I had with people. Whereas the truth was, some mornings I was so depressed, I was so overwhelmed with grief, I was paralyzed, that I could not get out of bed, that I would wake up and I would think of all of the things that I had to do that day, and they would become so overwhelming that I would simply cover my head with my sheets and go back to bed. Some days I would wake up feeling overwhelmed, and all I could do was just watch episodes of Grey's Anatomy one after the other. But yet people thought that the reason I wasn't attending class was because I was smart enough to learn the content by myself. I would drink, and I remember when I started working, I termed and classified myself as a functioning alcoholic, and this was almost like a badge of honor. And people treated it that way instead of a cry for help. Yes, I can function when I've been drinking, and I used to drink on a daily basis. I used to come back from work and I'd have a beer, a glass of wine, whiskey, or 2 when we would have first Wednesday's drinks at work. I was often the last person to leave. When a specific team would have their drinks, I would be there. I was that candidate attorney. I was the life of the party. And if you asked my university mates, they would tell you I was a smart, hardworking, dedicated individual, right? They did not know about my vices. They did not know about my struggles. If you asked my family, they would tell you I was a God-fearing young man who was excelling and doing exceptionally well at varsity because they did not know my vices. If you asked my friends, they had glimpses of my vices, but they thought that I was doing them intentionally and that I had them under control, whereas it was a cry for help. They were coping mechanisms. And so the reputation that I built for myself and the persona that I portrayed to people was very different to who I really was. And so for most of us, that's how we live our lives. We have crafted this character that people fall in love with. We have crafted this character that does not allow us to show any weakness or to show any vulnerability. And so today I'm here to say to you, have you ever truly asked yourself the question, who am I really? Because if you ask yourself that question, who are you really, the analysis you must conduct is, what do you do on a daily basis? So you are not your reputation. You are not the opinions that people have of you. You are not even the image that you have created for yourself in your brain. You are, in fact, the result of the things that you do on a daily basis. So if you drink alcohol on a daily basis, you smoke weed on a daily basis, you watch pornography on a daily basis, you watch copious amounts of television, and you sleep for long periods of time, there's a problem. And the only person who can be honest about that assessment is you. And once you've written all of the things that you do on a daily basis, I want you to assign the amount of time you spend participating in that particular activity, or the amount of productive time you lose because of that particular activity. I used to drink, and I used to drink quite a lot. And if I went out drinking on a Friday, it meant that I had wasted my whole entire Saturday, because it would take me half the day to recover. And once I'd recovered, the sun is out, I don't feel as productive as what I am supposed to. And so I would spend most of Saturday recovering and simply watching sports with little productivity taking place. The Thursday, after first Wednesday drinks at work, I would be a zombie. Right? And so how much productive time are you losing because of these destructive habits that you are participating in? The second thing I would like you to do, once you have written down what you do on a daily basis and allocated the amount of hours you spend doing those activities, is to scratch out the activities you don't want to do, is to scratch out the activities that you are hiding from other people. Imagine if I could follow you for a day and I am simply observing the things that you do on a daily basis. Would I be surprised? Would I be shocked? Would I be gobsmacked? Or would I be excited? Would I be relieved that the person that I interact with on a daily basis is truly who you are? If you had a screen on top of your forehead and we could see what you did in your last 24 hours, would we be shocked? Would you be comfortable with us seeing that side of your life? Or are you simply creating this persona that we have fallen in love with? Are we simply in love with your reputation when your character is rather flawed? And so once you have done that and you have scratched out the different habits that you no longer want to participate in, I want you to write the kind of person you would want to be. And what kind of habits would you like to replace the problematic habits that you have in your life? So if people look at me, you look at my physical structure, you think that I exercise on a daily basis. But I don't. It's simply genetics that have allowed me to look this way. So I get away with telling people that I exercise. I get away with telling people that I eat healthy. I get away with telling people that I take care of myself. Whereas on the contrary, I drink too much. I eat food that is not healthy for me. I don't exercise. And so how many of you are doing things that you know you shouldn't be doing? But because you've never taken the time to actually analyze and observe the amount of time that you spend on the things that you don't want to spend your time on, the things that you are hiding from other people. You see, the problem with the reputation that we have created is twofold. Firstly, you are lying to yourself. You are allowing yourself to get away with you not being the best version of yourself. The only way you can begin to peel off the different layers of yourself is if you begin to be honest with the things that you are doing on a daily basis. You see, it's not who you imagine yourself to be. It's not who you would like to be, but who you currently are that is important. Because unless you accept who you are now, you accept the faults that you have now, it's going to make it very difficult for you to begin the process of change. The second thing that I would like to highlight, and the problem with you creating a reputation that is not in line with your character, is that people cannot help you when you are in need. For 6 years of my life after my aunt passed away, I lived each day hoping to die. I was never going to kill myself because I knew that my life had significance and that there are people who rely on me staying alive to validate and to persevere through their own struggles. Selfish, I know. However, that's what kept me going. I passed the last 3 years of my varsity career because I was so terrified of failure that even though I did not feel like studying, even though I did not have the will, the fear of failure helped me push myself through. And the people in my life were oblivious to the help that I needed because I presented this reputation where I hid so well who I was, the pain that I was feeling, the struggles that I was going through. And when I eventually reached out for help, I remember telling a friend of mine that I'm struggling, that I'm feeling depressed, that I'm feeling suicidal. She simply turned to me and said, "Oh, you'll be fine." And I struggled until I got to my 4th year, and I remember looking outside the window on the 8th floor, and I finally understood why people jumped. In that moment, I got on the bus and I went to the wellness center at the University of Pretoria, and I saw a psychologist for the first time in my life. I had 4 sessions with her, and I can safely say that those interactions saved my life. However, they saved my life, but they did not stop the destructive behavior. And so after I had conducted the analysis of who I was and who I wanted to be, as I discussed in the first video, and the link will be at the bottom of this page if you want to watch it, I then had to conduct an analysis of who am I right now? Who am I really? And after I conducted that analysis, I started to realize that there are very problematic vices that I have that I was never really honest about. And so today I would like to say to you, let's get to who you really are so we can help you to get to being who you really want to be. And the first step is to be honest about what you do on a daily basis. Secondly, how much time you spend on everything that you do. Thirdly, what are the things you want to stop doing? And lastly, what would you replace those things with? I hope that I have been helpful and insightful. I hope that you can begin to be vulnerable with yourself and then with others so they can provide you with the support and the help that you need to pick up the mic and become impactful, remembering that you are the master of your ship, that you are the only one who is in control of your destiny, and that you are the only one who is the creator of your reality. With love, peace, and happiness, I am Marama Matlo.